All right, breaking news, folks. We're going to talk about Israel, the attack that they did on Iran as retaliation for the retaliatory strike that Iran did on Iran proper did on Israel proper instead of using proxies. But first, this one is a warning to you. Do you have any routers made in China in your house? Do you have any cell phones made in China? Do you have any electronics made in China? Yeah, just about every single piece of electronics you have is likely made in China or has components made in China or is assembled in China. And it's now confirmed that there's backdoors into D-Link routers. I have a Tenda router, which is a straight up Chinese company router, uh, Chinese created router rather. And you bet that there's access into all these, which it's a backdoor into my network. That means they can get into my iMac, my computers, our cell phones, our iPads, whatever it may be. They have access to. They can hack into. There's backdoors to everything. There's viruses and bugs they can get in, all sorts of things. And the FBI, this is the Gateway Pundit, is warning that Chinese hackers are preparing to launch a massive attack on U.S. infrastructure. What happened when that shipping container ran into the bridge? Was there a cyber attack? That was the initial comments coming out from people, and I think very much it is. And indeed, the police are now investigating that whole situation. Well, did you know that E911 services were down in, was it 4 or 5, maybe up to 9 different states over the last couple of days? Do you think that's a coincidence? No. Folks, we are in the time zone of asymmetrical warfare with Russia, with China, and Russia's hitting back. We are cyber attacking Russia. Don't be confused about that fact. Your military just isn't telling you, but cyber attacks are going. They have been for many years, but they're ramping up now, and now the public is starting to see the result of it, although the government hasn't admitted to it yet. Massive cyber attack of U.S. infrastructure, and they've already infiltrated several critical countries. Now they're just waiting for the go-ahead, basically, to execute the hack, whatever it may be, namely shut it down or wreak havoc, cause centrifuges to spin out of control and blow up, or whatever it may be, or electrical networks to be overpowered and burn out, that sort of thing. China is developing the ability to physically wreak havoc on our critical infrastructure at a time of its choosing. So that it's standing by with known hacks. They're not going to use their hacks, their exploits, until World War III is declared. They'll just do little pokes here and there just to see that their hacks are working, like the 911, and these are little hints, winks, if you will, from China, from Russia, saying, you know what, we can do some damage to you as well. And what does China plan to do? Its plan is to land blows against civilian infrastructure to try and induce panic. What's the easiest way to distract the United States from World War III? Cause civil war, get its civilian infrastructure into disarray so that the public are panicking. It's Mad Max on the ground, and then the military has to look inwards instead of look outwards to control the population. And of course, at that time, the government would implement martial law. But it's a real easy way to take a lot of resources away from the U.S. military and point them inward. If China has caused significant infrastructure to go down, water purification, etc., we would be scrambling just to keep up with fresh water and getting food to people, let alone having internet, cell phone services, and that sort of thing. This is a big deal. I can't underestimate this, and I think they have their fingers in the pot, so deep we don't even know. We won't be able to do anything about it when they decide to unleash this cyber warfare against us. This is War News 247. So what happened was Israel sent some jets in, apparently some F-16I Sufa fighters. They bombed some S-200 arrays in Isfahan. They also bombed along the way en route to Iran. They bombed some different military targets in Iraq and Syria, probably to limit detection, some radar stations, whatever it may be. And this was really to tell Iran, to show Iran that it can get its fighters in there undetected and do some damage. Now, the air base they hit was near a nuclear power installation. They could have easily went there and taken out the nuclear power installation there, where they believe that nuclear weapons are being stored or worked on. But this was, again, a wink and a nod to Iran that, you know what, if Israel wants to do it, it can. And it went in there, and Iran could do nothing about it. Israel released new information about the attack on Iran. According to Israeli media and country military sources, the fighters bombed targets inside Iran. The attack was carried out from Iraqi airspace. Israel categorically denies any drone attack, which is now Iran's official position, and speaks of airstrikes. I assume, again, to save face, Iran doesn't want to let the people know that Israeli fighters got past its radar and its surveillance system. According to some recovered Israeli missile debris, the fighters fired Rafale-produced ROCs, air-launched ballistic missiles, against 8th Air Force Base of Iran. In other words, War News 247, which initially reported what was the target, is confirmed. According to their same Israeli sources, the target was S-200 air defense systems. So they're taking out air defense systems, different layers of air defense systems. As Israel goes in there, it sees what it needs to take out. There's still some S-300. That's going to be the next thing. Maybe they need their F-35Is to go in there underneath the radar. But Israel's taking out infrastructure. It needs to do a larger strike. It's a setup. It's a probing sort of attack where Israel learns a lot about Iranian defenses, whether Iran can see them coming, whether they can, effectively stop them, and apparently they can't. So it's great information for Israel for a larger strike on the nuclear sites that Israel wants to go after. Here's a tweet. With closer examination of crashed Israeli missiles found in Iraq, it has now been determined that they are Rafale ROCs air-launched ballistic missiles. All right, so you see some images there. As been expected, Mossad Air and Israeli Air Force targeted only the air defense site of the 8th Tactical Base. Again, this is a warning. This is a slap in the face back to Iran, saying, look, we can do whatever we want in Iran, and Iran has nothing they can do. So 8th Tactical Air Base, these are all from Twitter. There's some, look at the damaged rocket there. So Iran is basically coming out and saying, look, they didn't do much damage, but the damage was to the intelligence folks in the IRGC of Iran. And basically, Israel can do what they want, when they want, in the air with ballistic missiles, and Iran effectively has no way to limit them. They got attacks right on this military air base, and Iran could not do anything to stop it. So this is a warning to Iran. This is probably a setup and a learning experience for Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's going to go into Rafah. The idea was that maybe Israel made an agreement with the U.S. and other nations to, if you let us go into Rafah, and we'll do a limited attack on Iran. Interesting that it happened actually during the week when the markets were open. It happened during the night, of course. But wait to see what happens during the weekend when the markets are closed for a couple of days. And, of course, what I said the other day about the government saying, you know what, we'll let the citizens have their Passover. I mentioned that could very well be a bluff, and it appears that's exactly what it was. It was basically a bluff, and Israel's ready to strike whenever it deems necessary and whenever it thinks it needs to. And Iran doesn't know when it's coming, during Passover or after or whatever. And Passover ends on the 30th of April. So be aware of what's happening, folks. Get ready. As this goes down, there's going to be more and more government overreach, surveillance of local citizens. Be aware of what you say around any sort of microphone or recording device. Have your local community around you. You need to build local community. Why? Because some are going to have information about planting gardens, and or you may need help, or maybe you have information and someone else needs your help with planting a garden. Local community is going to be the way to do it in the future, folks. Be prepared. The propaganda will increase, or I will be kicked off YouTube at some point or visited by a psychologist for my views, I'm sure. And the Bible speaks of these days that are coming. So you need to be prepared because the time is quickly running out.